Hello and welcome to What the Lux with me, Fred Moore.
And me, Anant Sharma.
Together we lead Matchreform, brand and experience design consultancy headquartered in London, and this is a podcast that calls time on tired ideas of luxury.
And alongside industry luminaries and thought leaders, we explore what truly defines category-leading products and experiences.
Last year and into 2022, the world went mad for the metaverse. It was seen as something revolutionary. A whole span of technological and cultural innovation seemed to conflate and confuse in equal measure. Was it blockchain? Was it gaming? Was it ridiculous guerrilla art sold for millions as NFTs? Crypto millionaires were appearing like flowers in a spring meadow. The bandwagon rolled on until the inevitable crash, the puncturing of the bubble, replaying a story of human greed and fallibility as old as mankind itself. So the reason we're so excited about this episode is we have on the podcast someone who's going to make all of our lives that much simpler by banning the use of the word metaverse and peeling back the layers of complexity to reveal a simple truth, that it is Web3 we should be talking about, and a further truth that Web3 has a very human and practical side in that it is being used within her industry to improve access and discoverability for a luxury product that was previously hidden within the confines of the great auction houses or opaque private transactions. The sublime Charlotte Shaw is Chief Marketing Officer of BlockBar. BlockBar's mission is simple: democratize access to luxury wine and spirits. They partner directly with the world's leading brands to offer exclusive, authenticated bottles via blockchain, whilst offering bottle owners storage, insurance, global shipping, and a marketplace for resales. Charlotte is also passionate about supporting women empowerment and is named in the Walpole Power List as one of the 50 most influential people in British luxury. Charlotte, welcome to the podcast, and thank you so much for joining Anant and myself today.
Thanks for having me.
Firstly, just how are you, and where are you dialing in from?
Yeah, I'm great. I'm dialing in from Hertfordshire.
I guess before Anant kicks off with the questions, I'm just going to make two predictions today. The firstly is that you're going to find an emoji with one of those sort of throttle icons. If I mention the M words, the metaverse word, and you'll make us talk about Web 3.0. And I also predict Anant is going to lecture both of us on the finer points of the difference between augmented reality and AI. But Anant, over to you.
I will do everything I can in my power to not go into that. Charlotte, great to have you with us. Can you just start by telling us a bit about your background? How did you end up in the premium spirits and drinks industry?
Yeah, so I've always worked in the luxury industry, started out working for a really boutique luxury PR and marketing agency. So predominantly working across retail, fashion, beauty, lifestyle and travel. I mean, everything from launching raw residences in the Maldives to ski chalets in St. Moritz, so very glamorous. An opportunity came up actually with an amazing family-run business called William Grant & Sons. So they own Glenfiddich, Balvenie Whiskey, amongst a number of other spirits brands. And essentially it was a really exciting challenge to come into the business at a time of change where they wanted to reposition themselves as a luxury player in the wine and spirits industry. So within that role, very much took the business on a kind of 2.5-year journey into luxury, working across kind of PR, marketing and partnerships. It was from there that I met Dove and Sam Fallick, the co-founders of BlockBar. They have an existing relationship with the business through America Duty Free and bought BlockBar to William Grant to say, look, we're launching the platform. Would you like to be our first partner? I was actually getting married at the time and there was so much going on. It was another project that I was kind of put onto that I was really excited about. And actually, before BlockBar came along, I already put a business case to the CMO at the time to say, we have to explore a test and learn with an NFT because this is the future of luxury. And as you can imagine, you know, within a business, everyone's like, what's an NFT? What does this mean? So anyway, cut the story short, I got married in COVID, which was amazing. Came back, launched BlockBar with Glenfiddich. Now, I was absolutely obsessed with this whole opportunity anyway, but no one knew how it was going to go. And I actually remember on the day of the drop, consumers were emailing us saying is this actually legit? And what we had realized is we hadn't actually shared BlockBar's partnership on our brand website, and I think the social media team hadn't got the post that quick enough. So literally everyone was all these crypto fanatics were emailing me, and I was like, yeah, of course it's legit. No one knew how it was going to go. And but what we did do is we had loads of PR. The PR was insane. I think we garnered over 1 billion reach. We had coverage, everything from like Forbes to all the drinks trade. Everyone went wild for it because we were the first brand to really make a change in it. So anyway, launch happened. I believe the BlockBar team, which is obviously a handful of people at the time, were all in their office in New York at the time of the drop thinking, is this going to sell? Ironically, it sold out within like a few minutes and everyone was going crazy. I was then messaging Dove, who's the CEO and co-founder of BlockBar, because I was like, well, I want to be part of this business and BlockBar. What do I do? Like, I've just worked with them on this project. I don't know how it happened, but we were texting each other, and then eventually the opportunity came up where I said, look, I really want to work with you, and I really believed the future this business had in the industry. And also, I went into William Grant to create a new legacy, and I wanted to create a new legacy for the industry. And I think by joining BlockBar, I could do that. So they felt the same way. And then that was it. I've been with them ever since. So I've been very lucky to pretty much be with them since day one.
What sort of satisfying route into a new role?
I mean, a real first. I should think you really also on that day confused a lot of people in the luxury industry who just didn't have a clue about what an NFT is. So before we talk about BlockBar and the business model, which is a really fascinating topic, I think let's just get this out of the way. Charlotte, we're not going to talk about the metaverse today, are we? We're going to talk about Web 3.0. And can you just let our listeners understand what is Web 3.0?
Look, for me, Web 3, it's a better internet. Web 3 is using blockchain technology, cryptocurrencies, NFTs to essentially give power back to the users in the form of ownership. When it comes to the metaverse, for me, it's hugely gimmicky. And I think a lot of consumers and brands are getting confused between going into the metaverse, which, by the way, we're all in at the moment, and even just WhatsApping my colleague in America, I'm in the metaverse, right? It's the internet, but it's more about digital interaction, 3D form, virtual experiences. But we're doing it now. For me, when I think about metaverse, though, or what brands conceive it as, is they think about sandbox, they think about Decentraland, they think about buying land in the digital world, creating digital things that don't exist. But what makes me laugh is that Decentraland the other day, there was a research paper done that they've only got 38 active users on the platform.
38?
38, yes.
I've been using Decentraland statistics in talks just to say, it's just such a joke
Yeah.
how few people actually engage. BlockBar is a fascinating, forward-thinking concept that challenges nature, not just ownership, but also marketplace. Can you give our listeners a bit of context to BlockBar and also the concept of digital twins?
Of course. So BlockBar was founded just over a year ago by two amazingly talented cousins called Dove and Sam Fallick. They've been in the industry for over 20 years. The Fallick Group own America Duty Free. So they set out BlockBar to solve a number of issues. Now, what I'm going to do is describe BlockBar in really simple terms. So we sell NFTs directly from luxury wine and spirits brands, whether that's Moet Hennessy, Diageo, Bacardi, Pernod Ricard, etc. Each NFT corresponds to an actual physical bottle of wine and spirit, which is exclusive to BlockBar. You can't find them anywhere else in the market, which you can purchase with ETH, credit card, or wire transfer. As an owner, you can do a number of things. You can resell, collect, gift, or at any point burn your NFT in exchange for the physical bottle, which we will ship to you globally, anywhere in the world, subject to local shipping restrictions. We only work directly with the brand owners, and we authenticate our products by selling the NFTs on Ethereum's blockchain. Our mission, basically, is to democratize access to luxury wines and spirits, allowing anyone, anywhere in the world, to participate, whilst offering bottle owners storage, insurance, and a marketplace for resales. So our mission at BlockBar is to democratize access to luxury wines and spirits, which means anyone anywhere in the world can buy into fine wines and rare spirits. And this was not possible before BlockBar was established. So, with wine and spirits, you'd have to know the right person at Sotheby's. It's a very closed industry. So now we are introducing buyers to brands that had never ever bought or spent more than say $100 on a bottle of whiskey when they're out and about in the market. So it's hugely exciting, and a great example of this is when we first dropped with Hennessy. The Hennessy 8, which was 2 bottles at $250,000 was bought by a crypto community club. And behind that community was 20,000 people. They were just huge fans of Hennessy. And now they own this, piece of history. The same one is with Penfolds. We sold a cask a Penfolds wine for over, I think, about $125,000, and that was born by a group of wine lovers. So we're giving them access to products that they've never had access to before, and I think that's definitely creating a new legacy for the industry.
Do you see the move of auction houses like Sotheby's and Christie's into the Web3 space as a threat?
So we always say that, look, we're not here to take business away from the auction houses, but obviously we also run our own auction function. I think, look, for sure, the auction houses will be looking at, what does that kind of Web3 opportunity present to them? The difference that we are versus them is that we don't take products or collections from third parties. Everything's from the brand. So we know that everything's 100% authenticated. Whereas from a Sotheby's point of view, they would take a collection from a third party or a private collector. How can they then, I know they go through different authentication processes, but it's not as robust as we are.
How engaged are people in the resale side of what the platform offers?
Yeah, so look, we have over 300,000 active users. We have done a huge amount in secondary sales. A lot of our holders, or we call them bottle owners, are holding on to their bottles right now. As more people redeem, that will then start to really kick off that secondary marketplace, because naturally then the bottles will be more scarce. And the reason that will happen is because everything we sell on our platform, you cannot get anywhere else in the market.
Something that I find really interesting is that people are really proud of their spirits collections, of their drinks collections, and having a portable collection that gives you bragging rights or a talking point over, the things that you've chosen to house in your portfolio. I think it's quite interesting. And how appealing do you think that is when people come to you, to come to BlockBar?
Yeah, look, so I think the power of Web3 and obviously with NFTs has made an opportunity for consumers to really show off what they own, right? So you can share it on your social channels, you can share it in digital bar. Point being, I might own a really rare bottle of Hennessy 8. I might keep it, in my private cellar at home or storage facility. A couple of people might see it, or we always laugh and say, accidentally your partner might end up opening it at a dinner party. What it means here is that I can actually show it off to a global audience, and by the way, to loads of people. What we've just created is a partnership with Infinite Objects, which means even though you have your digital NFT, which you could share across your digital channels, you also could have a physical frame at home where you could put it, you could have it pride of place on your bar so people can see it, they just can't basically touch it and taste it. And by the way, when you do want to taste it, like you're saying, and show off, then you can have it shipped home to your home. So it works in both ways, but I think the whole democratizing access element of it means that you can show off what you own on a global platform.
Do you think these people are investors or drinkers?
It's a bit of both. We always say that investing in wine and spirits is never a get rich quick kind of initiative. Having said that, we've sold a bottle of Remy Martin as a collaboration with Usher. 50 bottles were only ever created, 25 given to Usher to gift to friends and family. The other 25 were sold on our platform, sold out within a second. Within 2 minutes, someone had resold that bottle for $1,500, but only bought it for $500. So we know that our audience are traditional or crypto natives that are looking to invest in digital assets, essentially. But also we do have consumers that are buying these products because they enjoy drinking. So then, therefore, they'll have it delivered to their home. And the reason I know that is because they'll share a photo in our Discord channel or on social, pride and place with their bottle of Patron, on their shelf at home. So it's a mix, but I'd say we definitely are attracting naturally the kind of collector crowd just because of that utility we offer with the marketplace.
Charlotte, do you think people engage more with the story behind the spirit as a result of being able to house it in a digital medium?
I think, look, our consumers are buying with BlockBar because they want the physical product, which they know is rare, it's scarce, and it's exclusive in some capacity. But naturally, the storytelling is really important, right? But look, from my point of view, I think the main motivation for our consumers to buy with us is because they're buying an appreciating asset that has naturally performed well, say, from an investment point of view, or it's just the coolest collaboration that you want to have kind of on the back of your bar.
That's great. I think the consumer benefit has been made really clear. And I guess the other question is, so why would brands use BlockBar?
Huge benefits to brands. I think the first one is the transparency and the direct communication with their end consumer. Blockchain is so transparent. Our community channels are so transparent. You will know who owns your products from the primary drop to the 10th buyer, and you can trace that. You can look at who's owned your product. You can also engage with them on BlockBar's Discord community. You can see what they're talking about. We host IRL events. You can meet with your buyers. If you go and sell a product, say, and I always share this example, when I worked with Glenfiddich, we sold the most expensive lot. It was a Glenfiddich 1950s with Sotheby's auction, Distillers 101. And that was actually December that BlockBar was launched, around that time. And it went for £1 million. That buyer now, we don't know where that lot's gone. We don't know where it's stored. And that's it. It's done. The deal's done. With BlockBar, not only are you knowing who's owning that product once that's been resold, but also as a brand, you're receiving reoccurring revenue. So every time your drop is resold on the secondary marketplace, you're taking that 5% royalty payment. So another great example is Sotheby's Glenfiddich. That sold for $1 million. If that then sold again, you would take another cut from that. So for brands, it's direct communication to their consumers, and our audience is a very young consumer. It's Gen Z and millennials, so it's 81% make up our audience. But from that data set, I read an article that was saying that if their audience right now isn't 10% Gen Z, they won't survive in the future. Our Gen Z set is 11% of that total set that I told you. So number one, they're speaking to this young consumer that brands find it incredibly hard to target from a traditional wine and spirits point of view. And then, like I said, the second point is the reoccurring revenue.
No, that's clear. And when you say young and Gen Z, just to be clear, that is people in their 20s and 30s.
Yeah, by the way, over the legal drinking age of 21, of course.
Exactly. A challenge for both of you. So my mum trolls me on this podcast and she says, oh, great, and then sends a sort of passive-aggressive WhatsApp saying I didn't understand that bit. Can you both explain to that point around fraud and blockchain actually stopping that? Can you explain how blockchain makes things simpler and not more risky or less secure?
Yeah, exactly. So basically, blockchain is a shared ledger that facilitates the process of recording transactions and tracking assets in a network. So each one has a unique code, which means you can't copy it. Now, obviously, in BlockBar's case, once you redeem the physical product, we burn the NFT, and essentially then you won't, we don't know what happens with that product, but it's done. You can't own the physical product and the NFT at the same time. They're interchangeable for each other. So once it's burned, it's done. But until that point, you can always trace it back on the blockchain.
So Charlotte, we've spoken about community building and building an audience. Clearly, a lot of the Web3 audience live on Discord. Can you talk to us about your approach to building that audience?
Yeah, Discord is so fascinating. I always just see it as like a group WhatsApp chat. We are incredibly fortunate to have an immensely talented head of community at BlockBar called Karma. He has been in the industry way before luxury even probably used the word Web3 or NFT. So he has built an incredibly organic community on Discord. And what fascinates me is that I'll go in there every day and I can see what our consumers are talking about. I know what brands they like. I know what other brands they want to see on the platform. I can see their feedback. Oh, and by the way, it's so transparent. If you get it wrong, they'll tell you about it. So for me, it's incredibly powerful. But like you say, it's a certain demographic that are on Discord. It's not going to be your necessarily traditional collector that maybe is with Sotheby's right now. However, it's so powerful. Brands can go in, they can see what they're talking about. I always capture all the chatter and send to brands because it is so fascinating. But you do need to have the right person managing the channel, and you have to be transparent with everything you do.
Great. Can we talk about design quickly? NFTs, they're a great chance for brands to push the boundaries of their creativity. So when you're setting a brief for brands to launch a drop, how do you challenge them to think beyond the norms of the physical product?
Yeah, so I think, look, when we design and create the NFT, it is a matched digital replica of the physical bottle. We will work through the guidance of the brand. They will come to us, we'll work with them on concepts. We work with them in two ways. One is the physical bottle. It's been produced, it's ready to go, it's done. They work with us then to design and create an NFT and then sell it on the platform. The other way that we work with brands is we will actually work with them on the design concept, any artist collaborations, designing the NFT, and then they would produce it, say, 6-12 months later. But with our technology, it means that we can drop the collaboration on our platform, and then we can say to our consumers, oh, by the way, you could redeem it in 6-12 months, which means that then the brand can be a lot more agile with developing that initial design concept.
Charlotte, the first time NFT holders, do they sort of ring up and ask for some reassurance? Is there a sort of process of letting them know that it's sort of not going to sort of evaporate without them doing anything?
Look, we have an amazing company. You know, our chief of staff, Max, absolutely heads that up at the moment and is in daily contact with our buyers. And you know, one of the things that, you know, we are showing, and obviously as a startup, anyone knows this, is you know, to really build the trust with our end consumer. So showcasing, you know, content of our storage facility in Singapore. They know it physically exists. You know, we've got amazing reviews, you know, that our boss owners are leaving us. They're coming to our IRL event. And it's actually a really good example is we hosted an event at Sexy Fish with Royal Salute a few weeks ago, Mayfair. And one of our holders came, or our bottle owners, that lives in London. And I said, oh, how did you find out about us? He said, oh, you know, I can't remember, but I first came across you and I thought, wow, that's a really interesting concept. I haven't really bought wine and spirits before as an investment. But I thought, you know, I'll buy that and I'll just see if it exists. And I was like, what do you mean exists? And he said, well, you know, because obviously, you know, it's a startup, it's Web3, people are curious. He said, oh, straight away I knew it. He said, and he's basically bought every single drop since. And there he was at our next thing. So and it got me thinking as a marketeer, you know, we really have to continue to show and build trust because you know, we've got buyers that are spending kind of 50K upwards with us where they really believe in our platform and it's brilliant. You know, we're looking at how we could embed like a live stream from our storage facility so you can see your physical bottle, extra content, you know, from, you know, our team in the facility that are looking after your bottle. So you really can see what you own. And also, you know, as you start to redeem your bottle, you know it exists and it's all in the right packaging and it's all been looked after. We've got a fantastic shipping facility. But it's true, you know, everything we're doing. And I think, you know, I always say the most powerful form of marketing is word of mouth. And that's a great example of that bottle owner that came to London that's now telling his friends and everyone at the dinner how amazing BlockBar is because he's used us, he's, you know, received a physical bottle, he's seen what we're doing. But, you know, I think everyone's a little bit skeptical, right, at the start with any new platform.
You've already talked a little bit about this, about the Gen Z, but has anything surprised you about BlockBar customers, about the demographics or where they're from?
I was incredibly surprised about the age. I've been in the industry for a number of years. I always felt like brands, especially in whiskey, find it very hard to communicate to a younger demographic, a younger audience. I used to feel like you'd see stuff from other retailers saying, oh, you know, we talk to millennials, but I never really got to the nitty-gritty of the stats. And I literally am obsessed every day checking our kind of CRM, our website traffic database and data because it just blows my mind that we have such a young audience that are coming onto BlockBar to really purchase into wine and spirits. And it's something that I've never really seen before. So that surprises me. And B, what surprises me is that they're not always that brand loyal. So obviously the one thing about blockchain is it's so transparent. I can go into someone's wallet or go into someone's collection and see what they own. And they own a number of different brands. So they're buying, you know, completely different wine and spirits. But also what fascinates me is that they're telling us that now they're becoming such brand loyalists, say to a Glenfiddich, they're now going out into the on-trade to a bar and drinking Glenfiddich. And that would never happen before. So it's kind of like we're introducing them. What we say, in a nutshell, is we're introducing the younger demographic to what it means to invest in fine wines and spirits and educating them on that side. And we're then introducing the older demographic that are kind of avid wine and spirits enthusiasts into what it means to buy with an NFT and using blockchain technology to really accelerate and improve the way that they're buying into it. It's kind of like educating on two sides.
And do they buy typically more than one NFT? You know, they serial offenders. Yeah, interesting. Oh, amazing. And I guess, look, is there any specific loyalty program, or is it just what you said? It's word of mouth. It's brand love, basically. Or do you actually sort of have any kind of systems in place for that? Or
yes, look, I think it's twofold. The one thing I love about Web3 and also about luxury, right, is being rewarded. So we reward our community in different ways. So special perks, tastings, experiences, in real life events, to our bottle owners. And what we're starting to see is now brands are really, really investing in building their kind of cult following on BlockBar. So great example is this Johnny Walker Bandy the Pink release, where only existing BlockBar Johnny Walker owners will have first access to it. So you're being rewarded that way. The second thing is, one of the number one objectives when I first came into BlockBar business was we need to build the world's largest rewards program for wine and spirits. It does not exist. I'm hugely inspired by everything that Harrods has created. And I think they're a great aspirational retailer that has done this very well. We're building this out. It's going to launch next year where it's all about reward versus spend. early access, perks, experiences. We want to build, a money can't buy experience for our top spenders next year, where it's this kind of really opening access to closed distilleries, amazing perks and amazing experiences, and it will be tiered. So kind of watch this space on that side. But definitely, and something that we've touched on before for me about Web3 is like all about building that community and rewarding them and keeping them engaged. I don't think it's similar to like Web2, right? But definitely rewarding is really important. And I think another example of that is with the Dalmore. So we launched and dropped a Dalmore 33-year-old. The first 10 buyers of that release were invited to the distillery for a private dinner and a distillery tour. We had all the bottle owners went, number one, and one actually flew all the way from Australia just for this experience, because they crave and they really want that direct access with the brands, which they're not getting through other retailers, but they are with BlockBar. And it comes back to that democratization of access. And by the way, when they're there, they want to know if the distillery shop's open. So these are huge fans, but we're giving them this almost like behind the scenes access that they wouldn't necessarily have before. And that's all through rewarding, right? And it's incredibly powerful.
Do you ever imagine the future being able to give people bottles they can carry around and, given the right level of interoperability, move between different metaversal platforms?
Yeah, look, we laugh at the start about the metaverse. I've had lots of discussions with the team about this and I've seen alcohol brands have gone into the metaverse and built virtual distilleries, virtual cocktail experiences, etc. Potentially, there could be a role where BlockBar would have a space in the metaverse, which then could potentially be like a pop-up bar. But we have a BlockBar house IRL event concept. You could take that into a metaverse, like a Decentraland or a Sandbox, and the Wine and Spirits brand could lease your space and host their launch party there after their fashion week. That was also held in the same, down the road on, the posh road in Sandbox, which is the equivalent of Mayfair, right? So I think there definitely could be a role there, but the reason why I tread so carefully is, at the end of the day, BlockBar is here to sell wine and spirits. We are a global retailer, so maybe it's like you're drinking your, Ruinart champagne in the BlockBar house pop-up bar in Sandbox, but by the way, we'll also send you a physical bottle to your home as well. There'll be some kind of like twinning, otherwise I think it's just very gimmicky. And also, you don't know who you're even talking to as an audience there.
Do you think most luxury products will have a digital twin in the future?
Look, BlockBar's technology and our developers that sit in New York are absolutely world class. Like, it blows my mind. There will be, in the near future, an iteration of BlockBar that will go into the luxury goods sector, because there's huge opportunities to use the same technology and go into kind of high-end fashion, watches, handbags, etc. Like, it's anything around kind of collectibles, it will definitely work.
Presumably it aids the sort of circular economy as well.
100%. It's hugely powerful. And even like watches, like I'm personally not in the watch game myself, but there's like huge investment opportunities there, and not everyone wants to buy £1 million watch and walk around with it because it's so high risk, but actually having someone to be able to store it for you and then reselling it is huge. So yeah, absolutely, and that's definitely a space that we've got a really close eye on as a business.
Actually, on the circular economy point, obviously it aids it from that perspective, but I guess how are you also handling the environmental impact of NFTs and criticism you get around that area?
Yeah, look, so sustainability for me is something that, we absolutely are happy to talk about. In fact, everything we do is on the Ethereum blockchain, recently upgraded to Ethereum 2.0, which basically means that now Ethereum's carbon footprint is improved by 99.95%. It makes it more energy efficient than many industries. We actually say that BlockBar's current carbon footprint is outlined to be net positive, and that's basically due to the minimal shipping of our sales, which are needed after transaction. So if you think about it, the brand owner, i.e. Hennessy, will ship the cognac to our facility in Singapore. It will stay there. It could get resold 10 times before it goes to the end consumer. It ships once more. So we openly talk about it, but I think there's a huge misconception around blockchain and sustainability when there really shouldn't be. So yeah, we openly should talk about it for sure.
I mean, I get just final question on BlockBar. You've talked about, like, I guess quite an obvious but fascinating application in other verticals and other products. But aside from that, where do you see BlockBar in 10 years' time? What's the big plan? How do you encapsulate all this ambition into a sort of succinct summary of where you'll be?
We'll probably have opened the BlockBar equivalent for every other luxury goods vertical. We'll be doing another podcast, but We're a hugely ambitious
Yeah.
team. We've already achieved a huge amount. Even in our first year, we've onboarded all the world's largest wine and spirits groups, and we have huge ambitions. So that's our end goal, for sure.
Yeah. Can we buy shares?
Yeah.
So Charlotte, I think it's quite pathetic really, but Anant and myself have realised we've been put on this earth really just to moan about the word luxury and how much we don't like it. It's a bit of a theme running through this this podcast. So we have to ask, what's the term luxury mean to you?
Yeah, and I laugh on that. So when I used to do the PR for Harrods, the word luxury was banned. You could not even use that word in any communication, so I'm totally there with you. Look, for me, luxury is all about the experience from start to finish. It's the community you become part of by buying into the luxury brand, and it's the reward and the value you get out of that. So for me, as a great example, and this is actually non-wine and spirits, because also I do love luxury in other sectors, is Louis Vuitton.
Yeah.
Their experience from start to finish is absolutely impeccable. I will walk into that store. I'm treated like a goddess. I don't have to queue up. The sales support, the WhatsApp support, the after sales care is amazing. Chanel, on the other hand, for me, drives me absolutely crazy. Even though it's got a cult following, the service is rubbish. There's nothing ever available. You don't get any rewards. So therefore, I'm not shopping with Chanel. So when you were asking me this question, that's the exact example that came to mind then. And the second thing that comes to me is the rewards and the value. So I love, as part of luxury brands, being part of that, like that community in terms of cult's the wrong word, but it's the community.
I'm not sure it is the wrong word, actually. I think it's a brilliant word that summarises what a luxury and inverted commas brand should invoke amongst its customer base.
Yeah, and I think, look, the second part that I haven't said that, for me, of course, is just literally the foundation of luxury. You're paying high amounts of money for a luxury good, so you want to know it's got high quality craftsmanship and it's a high quality product, right? But for me, that's like a tick the box. Of course it is. Like if I'm going to go and spend £1,300 on a pair of boots from Chanel, I know that it's going to be high quality. But for me, that what's going to sway between going to Chanel and Louis Vuitton? It's the experience and it's the community.
Can we ask or have some comment on the volatility of cryptocurrency and how that impacts how people purchase?
Yeah, it's a great question. Everyone's talking about it. I had a debate with my husband this morning about it with the recent crash. And look, number one, we're not concerned as a business because we're selling an appreciating asset. I know I always share this example on spirits business, a Johnny Walker whiskey someone found in the attic for like £900 and it sold at auction for like $15,000. So crypto wasn't even anything to do with that, but it's an appreciating asset. Oh, by the way, we also sell in US dollars. So for us, we're not concerned because you're buying into an appreciating asset. You're not buying into a Bored Ape or a digital piece of art. So for us, it isn't affecting our business. Take back crypto. If something happened to crypto tomorrow, would still be that global e-commerce platform selling and buying in USD.
Charlotte, just go back to the luxury thing. You partner with luxury brands exclusively, but do you actually, as a really innovative company in the drink space, effectively, do you consider yourself as a luxury brand or a service or as a partner to those companies? Yeah,
look, we're a luxury retailer. I remember I first sat down with our co-founders, Dove and Sam, and I can picture it now. We were in a WeWork in London, and I said, right, we've got to build out a robust strategy here. There's 3 objectives that we need to achieve in our first year. And the third objective, just because of the way I'm picturing the strategy, was around the brand owners. And that was for us to be inspiring business partners to our brand owners, to Diageo, to LVMH, etc. And we said, look, we are their extended team. So we've actually become part of their team now. So yes, we're a retailer and we are a luxury retailer. I would also say that we've become part of their luxury team and almost like their in-house team. And actually what's happened is they value our expertise and our team skills so much that they, will, for some drops, we would actually take on the whole PR and marketing and the creative development of their team for them on their behalf. So I'd say a lot of retailers don't offer that service, but we do. So yes, we're a retailer, but also we're becoming this kind of in-house extended team for these brands to get into Web3, and they're trusting us. And I said to the co-founders the other day, I was like, this is incredible. We're working with, for me, the best brands, brands like Hennessy that are top of their game when it comes to luxury, and they're entrusting us to run their whole PR marketing on their brand drops, and that's amazing. And we get such incredible feedback from their CEOs, the team internally, that for me it's we're just almost like this 360 partner for wine and spirits. So for me, we're more than just a retailer.
Yeah, it's so interesting because I was going to ask a question around, how difficult was it to get luxury brands onto this platform? Traditionally, they're a bit slow to innovate, but you just answered it. But it's just such a simple proposition for them that clearly you've had no problem, relatively little problem, getting them all to sign up.
Yeah, look, and I always say this, we're very fortunate, since day one, our founders, own America Duty Free, so they have existing relationships with the wine and spirits brands. Yeah. But that can only get you so far, right? So once you've done the first drop, you have to prove that the business model works. We met their KPIs. They've received the brand fame, the new luxury consumer acquisition, everything else that goes into it to prove that they drop again. And actually, I did some maths the other day, and over 50% of our brand partners have dropped more than twice on our platform. So it shows that we're a sustainable and a scalable luxury partner for these brands. And now it's a case of right, where do we fit in their business model? Because you can start to see, Hennessy, Pernod Ricard, LVMH are all hiring Web3 experts into their business, so they know and they believe in the future. And what's amazing is, I'm having conversations with CEOs of these brands, and they fully believe in the future of blockchain technology for their business. And now it's a case of, right, okay, we're sitting down with the brands and saying, right, what does like a 12-month pipeline look like? And what I always say to brands is, it's beyond that test and learn stage now. Like, we've proven the model, we've proven there's appetite from these buyers, we've proven that you're meeting new consumers. It's more about how can you build this community now? And that's what a brand like Johnny Walker's doing really well now that their fourth drop's live. So it's now about that long-term model.
One other thing actually on that is obviously the idea of perceived value in luxury is a lot to do with scarcity. When you're all sitting together, how do you balance that thing between scarcity and volume? Must be really tough.
It's the biggest question, and there's huge learnings from the first year. I think that we always sit down with the brands. It's really important before aligning on anything, because what's your KPI from this product launch? Is it about selling out in seconds, in which case you could just do 15 and it will go within a second? Is it more about the long-term game on building a community, in which case we would do a cask like Ardbeg, where there was over 400 bottles, and that sold out, but it took a few weeks. That was one of our most successful launches. Or is it about the brand fame? In which case, is it around a huge collaboration like Usher and Remy Martin? So it just totally depends on what the objective is. But we always say, it's never about selling out on day one. It's about the long-term value that you're bringing to this new audience that you've never had interactions with before. But we would guide them on that as well.
Charlotte, the gifting aspect of BlockBar is really interesting, really innovative, and it's new. Can you just talk about that?
We launched digital gifting as a capability on the platform earlier this year, and we have seen huge demand for it. So many bottles have been gifted. So we've actually just launched a completely new gifting platform with the slogan that we call the gift that keeps on giving, right? Because we know it's an appreciating asset. So we know that wine and spirits investments have outperformed gold and the S&P 500, right? So there you go. A bit of marketing spiel for you. But look, as we're heading into the busy holiday season, digital gifting is expected to account for more than 24.5% of all holiday shopping. So we want to basically create all year round gifting for easy gifting worldwide. And what we have launched is gift cards, a corporate gifting division, so actually working with businesses to offer them dedicated account managers to consource and pull together gifting proposals of any budget and any taste, from kind of champagnes, whiskies, cognacs, tequilas, wines, that also come with money can't buy experiences. And also, beyond gifting, we also take credit card now as a capability, as well as kind of accepting payments in dollars and wire transfer as well.
So Charlotte, we always outro our podcast with the same 4 questions. So the first one is, what irritates you the most about your industry?
Non-believers in the future of blockchain. Because, it's really interesting. And actually, not being stereotypical here, but what you find is it's the younger demographic of hugely talented individuals that work at these brands that are the ones that are adopting and really buying into BlockBar, and then we work with them to then upsell ourselves to the higher hierarchy, from the kind of CMOs to CEOs that might be a little bit more traditional in their thinking, to really win them over. So I'd say the non-believers, but I love a challenge. I'm such a hustler. That is my number one trait. So we'll never let it go. So they will. It's like my boss always says, Charlotte, you're going to LVMH and everyone will know who you are, because of course it's you. I wouldn't let anyone not reply to me. I think that's why they hired me. So yeah, we like to convert them.
Perhaps slightly more philosophically, what most concerns you about the world that we're leaving to the next generation?
What concerns me the most is that people are spending too much time online in the digital world and not interacting enough in real life, because it applies in two ways, right? Number one is I'm not really worried about Web3 because they love that IRL community element, and that's what we love about our business. But also, luxury is to be enjoyed in person as it is online. So I think there's so much we can offer you as a digital business. End of the day, you want to taste that liquid, you want to walk into Louis Vuitton. So I think it's just making sure that you're always pairing that kind of digital and that IRL together to basically have that seamless luxury experience.
Can I sneak in an additional question? Because Charlotte, I know that you're a passionate advocate of women in the spirits industry, but especially women in Web3, where, let's be honest, it's been a challenge. That's obviously something close to your heart.
How we're creating a new legacy for the wine and spirits industry is what I want us to do with women in the industry. So I actually remember when I first took the job at Glenfiddich, I actually called my mum and I cried because it was the one brand that my grandpa bought. He's sadly not around anymore. And I was like really proud that I was working on a legacy brand and that I was a female. And that was the biggest challenge, was how can we change the perception? And then when I realised when I was there, it's an amazing business, is that there was still quite a lot of prejudice when you looked at who was higher up in the organisation. And we actually lost a hugely talented female from the business. And I actually was in a team, I looked above and I was like, oh, everyone above me is men. And I was like, actually, yeah, I'm actually in a male industry here, and I loved it. I was like, I'm thriving off that. So then I came into this business and I thought, brands are finding it hard to talk to women. I'm never going to be able to create that legacy here. At BlockBar, I've got two amazing men that love to be bossed around by women. Another reason why I think they hired me. I can make a real change here. So they're really behind it. So we're building out a program. It's actually with a business at the moment, one of our partners. I want them to get behind it because it's going to have more clout. And we've got a number of foundations that we want to do. One is actually educating women about wine and spirits, but also about Web3. Because I love to meet women that I want them to excel their career like the opportunity that I've had. And I know that I've just been in the right place at the right time and actually met two awesome guys that really believed in my ability, which, to be honest, I've had before and maybe men haven't believed in it. So I want to empower them to be able to make a change to their career, because I fully believe that Web3 is at the future of luxury. And if you can get in the game now, then you're future-proofing your career and your business and your success. And the second one is I want to really build up our female community of collectors at BlockBar, because, by the way, the most expensive Ardbeg whiskey cask went for £60 million to a female Chinese collector earlier this year. So we know that there's avid women out there. And the third one is about community and bringing women together to network with each other, because when women network, amazing opportunities happen. And I think women would find tech hugely a barrier. Like if you said to me a few years ago, Charlotte, you're going to work in tech, I'd be like, oh, don't be ridiculous. I know nothing about tech. Now I'm like simplifying the whole thing. But I just feel like I've got a responsibility to go, and I say yes to any speaking opportunity, even though people might think, God, she's rubbish. I don't care. Because I want women to feel inspired and empowered, that like I'm sitting up there, which, by the way, a year ago I had no Web3 experience, and I've changed my career around and changed my prospects. And I remember it was our first birthday and I wrote a card to my co-founders saying, like, it was like a spiel, like how thankful I was, because I was like, you've literally changed my life, and not just mine, but I now feel empowered to change other people's lives. And I'm going off on a tangent, as you can tell I'm hugely passionate, but like I really want to change and create a new legacy for women of any age to get into the industry, to make a change, and also to feel like they can get into tech. And I almost feel like I need to go to the UK government and say, come and hire me, like, because I just don't think anyone's doing anything about it, and I just really want to do that next year. So we're going to build out communities in New York, London, and Asia, which is our key hub, and we'll take it from there. But for me, I want to get the brand partners on board, because if our brand owners get on board, we're going to make a huge change. And it's not about launching on International Women's Day, it's about doing it all year round. So power the woman is what I have on my Sweaty Betty socks, and that's what I tell myself every day.
Charlotte, thank you so much. That was brilliant. Thanks for your time and a really passionate simplification of the metaverse, Web3, and a really practical use of innovation in luxury, which is really understandable and inspiring, I think, for us and so many others.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much for listening. This has been What the Lux. You can find us on socials at Matter of Form, and drop us any questions or comments on Twitter using the hashtag #WhatTheLux. And if you're a luxury brand looking for strategy or design that goes beyond the banal, get in touch via hello@matterofform.com and chat to one of our consultants. And so, until next time.